right, welcome to the next cycle in your biogeochemical cycle series, and that is the carbon cycle. First thing we need to know is what's carbon used for, okay? What's carbon used for? Everything in living things. Carbon is used for everything. It is a foundational molecule. Carbon, and lots of it, is used as the basis, as the foundation for all organic molecules, meaning those big complicated molecules found in living things like DNA, like protein, like carbohydrates and lipids, which are fats. So it is the basis for all organic molecules in living things. Carbon's super, super, super important. Now, this I realize is a grammatically incorrect sentence. We should not have the preposition at the end of the sentence. Sorry about that. But where do organisms get their carbon from? Okay? Ultimately, we get it from the atmosphere. That's our storehouse. That's our Lego box for carbon, is the atmosphere. Okay? In particular, the carbon dioxide that is in the air is our source for all the carbon that is in your body. That's where it came from. Now, you can't get it out of the air, but plants can. Plants are who harness that CO2 from the air, and they do so in the process of photosynthesis, okay? Photosynthesis is the process that converts that carbon in the carbon dioxide to food or sugar or glucose, whatever you want to call it. We're using those terms interchangeably. So the carbon that floats around in the atmosphere that we can breathe in, but unfortunately we can't really use it that way. We exhale carbon dioxide. We can get this carbon because plants take it in, convert it to sugar, and then we eat the plants, okay? So consumers get carbon by eating the plants or by eating other animals that have eaten the plants, okay? And then this carbon is incorporated into the very compounds that build our bodies. It's incorporated into the plant tissue, it's incorporated into our bodies, all in the form of proteins, of DNA, things like that, okay? Now, so we got the carbon out of the atmosphere and into our living bodies. How do we get it back into the atmosphere? Because remember, we got to always put our Legos back so they can be used again. Okay, there are several ways to do this. First of all, cellular respiration. You are putting your Legos back in the box all the time by exhaling. You burn food to get energy, and as you do that, you release small little CO2 molecules back from the atmosphere so that plants can take them up again and use them again. Okay? Or decomposition. Basically, our decomposer friends, our mushrooms, our bacteria, anything that decomposes something that's been living is doing cellular respiration as it consumes the remains of that living thing. And so these mushrooms would be putting CO2 back into the atmosphere as they decompose this old log here. Okay? Or we can put lots and lots and lots and lots of carbon back into the atmosphere by burning remains of animals that have been stored under the earth for millions of years, and we decide we're going to dig them up and burn them all at once. Now, wood wouldn't fall quite into that category. Wood, if we have a fire in the fireplace or a forest fire, that's going to burn the sugar and the other compounds that were made by the plant and release that CO2 back into the atmosphere. But all of these, coal, oil, natural gas, are all called fossil fuels because they are made of old plant bodies, basically, that have been under the earth. And we take those out and we burn in huge amounts, and we get huge amounts of CO2 as a result of burning that material. And we'll talk more about that later. So here's a really super simplified. You will find carbon cycle diagrams where there are arrows going everywhere, but let's just hone in on the core of it, okay? There is CO2 in the atmosphere, okay? The plants, notice the only arrow where CO2 is being taken in is this blue arrow here, okay? The only thing that can take that in is plants or any photosynthetic autotroph, algae, cyanobacteria. Those could also take it in, but it is photosynthesizers that take that CO2 in and make it usable to the little animal critters on Earth. The animals eat the plants, okay, and take in the CO2, the carbon that way, and then we give off CO2 by respiration. We respire. If the animal, little poop pile or a little dead critter, decomposition of dead stuff or waste stuff also gives off CO2, and also burning of fuels gives off, they call that combustion, but that's just basically burning of fossil fuels or of wood, which is not a fossil, but the same idea, is also going to put CO2 back into the environment. Okay, so that's pretty much the carbon cycle. If you got any questions, make sure you ask them, and I will see you in class. Take care.